Just because. All right, Yin Yoga practice. Um, Thank you for always for allowing me into your space and sharing part of your day with me. Let's sit for a minute and just sort of check in and settle down. Whatever we've had going on so far in the day, whatever is yet to come, we'll intentionally sort of let go of those things, those attachments, those worries and concerns. So that we can be in the present and experience the yoga practice in the present moment. And we've talked in the past about the idea that when we dwell on the past, when we constantly remind ourselves of the past, and when we are, or sometimes it's tick-tocking between the past and the future, or we're anxious or worried about what's coming in the future, then we miss out on living in the present moment. And really, ultimately, the only thing that exists is the here and now, right? The past is done and gone. Not to say that we can't learn from past, but we don't need to keep dragging it with us. And the future has not yet happened, and we honestly don't know what the future holds. So the only place that we ideally can live and exist is in the present. And yet we spend most of the day either in the past or in the future, or sort of tick-tocking between the two, and we miss out on the whole experience of the right here and the right now. And sometimes it's flat out because the right here and the right now is not someplace you want to be. So finding acceptance in the here and the now, really special, really important, very significant, because it is all that exists. So that being said, we also recently talked about or went through a meditation together, and some of you may have been there for it. A guided meditation for yourself that said, it was a way to say to yourself, I love you, I am listening. And it was interesting to me in that meditation how awkward feeling or a sentiment that was. We will most of the time very easily say that to someone else. I love you, I am listening. But today I'm hoping our yoga practice can be that, for that sentiment for ourselves. Saying very specifically, I love you, I am listening. And to incorporate that into our Yin Yoga practice as we're settling into the postures, the listening to your body, the loving your body, whatever it is today, whatever it is feeling like in this moment, saying to your body, I love you, I am listening. And in those postures, in those moments of stillness, those minutes where we spend just resting in or being uncomfortable in a pose, thinking mind starts taking a journey oftentimes. And stopping and pausing and saying in those moments, when thinking mind is busy, stopping and saying, I love you, I am listening. That sentiment, that idea can really keep us in the present moment, focused on ourselves, that inward journey we're always looking for in yoga practice. So throughout your postures today, throughout that meditation, when we're in postures, constantly saying that to yourself, I love you, I am listening. And then do that for yourself. And again, it's listening to the physical and listening to the mental. Begin to now slow your breath. Dulling the external senses, the senses in the body that reach out for information, and drop back inward. Drop back into that place, that still and quiet place where we can listen, where we can be present, where we can love ourselves and tenderly care for and nurture our deepest sense of self. Breath is slow and smooth. Body beginning to soften. Maybe a gentle smile as you remind yourself, I love you, I am listening. Lift your heart a little taller. Lift the crown of the head upward. Find Anjali Mudra with the hands, palms pressing softly against one another. A beautiful prayer position, thumbs resting against the heart center. I love you. I am listening. Your mantra for practice today. Lift up that mantra and this practice that is coming, that exists in the moment. And we'll do that by chanting the sound Om together. If you'd like to join me, let's inhale fully. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. May all of your obstacles be removed. As you exhale, a gentle bow forward, honor and respect to yourself and to your practice. Inhaling to rise up, releasing the hands and softly opening the eyes. First asana or posture we're going to take today is Sphinx pose. Sphinx pose is a back bending pose taken on your belly. If you experience back pain at all during this posture, please come down and just simply take forward rest. We are going to take 3 minutes of Sphinx pose, and then we'll shift directly back into child's pose and hold that for 5 minutes. So in child's pose, you may want to prop underneath you. So just make sure you've got your goodies nearby. So coming down into your back bend, maybe you need to take a little bit of movement, right? So maybe some cat cows here, kind of working out the spine. Maybe shifting forward and backward in and out of child's pose. And then we'll all make our way flat on our belly. Just going over the posture or the position of Shavasana. Let's jump right into final rest, right? Sphinx pose. Tops of the feet are on the floor. Your legs are probably hip distance, maybe a little further apart as opposed to really close together. That's going to give you some space in the sacrum. That's going to feel a little bit better than not. The positioning for Sphinx pose, the elbow comes directly underneath the shoulder. So it has a nice stable base to work with. Your fingers are spread wide on your mat. Perfect. Press into your hands, your elbows, pull your heart forward and upward towards the sky. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Relax your glutes and relax the front of the legs. We're going to hold here for 3 minutes. Breathe deeply. Again, if you end up with pain in your low back, uncomfortable is fine. Painful is not okay. So if we become painful at that point, we just lay down on our belly and take forward. Remember our mantra for practice today, and that is, I love you, I am listening. Maybe you're repeating that phrase in your mind. Maybe you're already beginning to notice what that means in your physical body. Maybe for you today, it's really about what's going on in thinking mind today. But that same courtesy, that same love, that same nurturing, you would easily give to someone else. Give to yourself today. This is one of the few Yin Yoga postures that requires a little bit of activity in the muscles of the back to keep the shoulders and the chest lifting up and out of the pelvis. You are at 1.5 minutes into 3, so you're halfway there. Again, any pain, come down from the posture. If you'd like some variation, some ways to sort of change or add to your posture. You might exhale and drop your chin to your chest. Maybe stay there several breaths. You could also add variation by taking your chin to one shoulder at a time and breathing several breaths here. But be careful with that. We don't want to bring ourselves into a state of fussing or fidgeting with the pose. But maybe adding some variation is good. And when you do that, just make sure you're mindful of using the breath to create the movement, the adjustment, the settling it. Let it be about settling in a little bit more instead of fussing with the posture so much. You're at 2.5 minutes. Last 30 seconds or so, right? You can do anything for 30 seconds. Last several deep breaths. As I said, we're going to push right back into child's pose. So wrists underneath the shoulders, inhale, rise up. Maybe pausing here at tabletop position. Maybe a couple of cat cows, again, arching and rounding the back. And then we've got to decide if we're taking child's pose with toes together and knees out wide, which will facilitate a flat back, or knees together, feet together, belly up over the thighs, or a rounded back, your choice. And again, always the option for addition of props. I'll let you know when we start 5 minutes. So it might be nice to take child's pose with something like a bolster underneath the belly to give you support so you can rest and relax here. A little bit softer approach to child's pose, but again, your choice, the variation that works best for you. If you are on a prop like a bolster and you have your head turned to one side, I'll let you know when we're halfway through. 5 minutes timer has started now. Breathe deeply. Specifically, if you're laying over something, whether it's a prop or your thighs, breathe into the back of the body. Don't let that compression in the front body, have your breath get shallow. Spread through the back of the rib cage. Remember to relax the shoulders here. If your arms are out in front, right, let them be soft, like the shoulder blades themselves, the upper arms relaxed and soft. It's interesting because I think this is one of those poses, right, we use for resting in a traditional practice. When we take child's pose in yin, however, that sitting for 5 minutes in this posture can become challenging. So that's why the use of a prop might be nice. You might find that 2.5, 3 minutes in, you want to remove that prop and come down a little further. And that's great too, right? I love you and I'm listening. So you're listening to your body and what it needs today. Again, whether or not you're using that statement as your mantra today to repeat over and over to yourself, or you're just focusing on the inhalation and exhalation, repeating those words, inhale and exhale. Maybe you're counting the length of your breath. Inhale, count to 4, inhale 5, 6, or 7, whatever works for you. We're finding balance, equanimity in the inhale and exhale, equal in length, right? Sort of rhythm that comes in and out. Softening in those places you might not think to soften, and that can be the hinges of the jaw. We might be clenching our teeth. The hands, right? We might have our hands a little tight. Soften your hands. It could be, squeezing the face. Oh, this is uncomfortable. So now I have a grimace on my face. And when I find that I can't soften those things, then I might consider that I've gone too far and I have to ease out a little bit. You're at 2.5 minutes. I'm going to let you sit in these last 2.5 minutes in stillness, in silence, in deep breathing. I'll let you know when 5 minutes is up. And if you did have your head turned to one side, make sure you take second side. You have 1 more minute. Make any adjustments or changes you need for this last minute in this posture, and that might mean easing out just a bit. That might mean you're ready to just spend the last minute or 30 seconds or so just a little bit deeper than you might want. Last several deep breaths here. When you're ready, take your time to maybe get your hands underneath the shoulders, maybe coming up to hands and knees again. Maybe you're going to take a couple of cat cows. Maybe you're going to lay down in forward rest. Maybe you're going to get down on your back and sort of roll around a little bit, massaging the back. Maybe a nice long stretch from your fingers to your toes. That could feel really good. Windshield wipers, anytime we work on back, swaying the knees side to side, that can feel really nice. So take anything for the next minute or two that will help you feel some relief from maybe the difficulty of that pose. Remember, in the middle and transition, I always feel like it's the point where people kind of want to skip that and get to the next thing. Don't skip that. Again, that sort of listening to your body, being in the present moment, have the whole experience instead of hurrying into the next thing. Again, just really listening and exploring, because honestly, for most of us, this is the only time we're going to sit and take care of ourselves, pay attention to our body, and think about what's going on in our mind and how we can change it. What we can do with all of those things. We don't sit long enough inside ourselves, inside our own skin, inside our own minds. So take advantage of the time that you have to be still and to be in this moment, and to not worry about the next thing, not worry about what just happened and how it felt or whatever, wherever we're at, be here in the moment. All right, we are going to take reclined butterfly pose. Unless you're really opposed to taking it reclined, I'm trying to take an approach today where there's a back bending and a forward fold, and sort of a back bend and a forward fold. So a little bit of focus on spine, but there's always legs and hips and yin. So I was thinking reclined butterfly. Remember, butterflies where the soles of the feet come together and the knees drop out. It is traditionally done with a forward fold, and you are welcome to take it that way if you like. If you're taking it with a forward fold, again, make sure you still have those same sort of props in front of you to allow the upper part of the body to be supported when you fold forward. Otherwise, if you do have a bolster and a block, you'll make a wedge, much like that. If you do not, something like simply rolling up a blanket. Now, it's not going to give you the height that a bolster will, but a rolled up blanket and laying your spine down that can work just fine. Either way, and I'll do both. Either way, low back is supported by your bolster here if you're using the bolster. You're going to exhale and lay all the way down. I like to kind of sit up on mine and let my tailbone sort of drop down. It gives me a nice back bend there and nice, really close support. The feet are going to come together and the knees are going to drop out. If you need support underneath your knees, add something here for support. Arms are going to just rest along the side eventually, but you might take some movement in the beginning, sort of work through the shoulders before you surrender and soften here. Remember, options here too. Normally gazing up towards the sky, a nice straight neck, but it might feel nice to take your head to one side, maybe half of the posture and then half to the other side, or just a couple of breaths on each side might be fine. 5 minutes starting now. And again, just to give you option or variation, rolled up blankets, nice and close, laying down over, feet butterfly, arms alongside. So it's just not going to give you as great a range of space in the front of the chest, but it does give you a nice support right down the center of the spine. And in this, my head's off just a little bit, so I get a nice open neck too, which might be nice. Maybe you normally take it with a bolster, but maybe take the opportunity today to do it a bit differently. Also with the blanket roll, you'll find that the erector spinae muscles that run along either side of your vertebra, they will soften and sort of wrap around the blanket. So it's really nice in the beginning. You'll feel this sort of weeble wobble as you're really stiff and tight, and everything sort of really just kind of melts down around that blanket. So either way, again, no right or wrong choice here. Or again, you may have chosen to fold forward. That's fine too. Um, just do what feels good, right? You're a minute and a half into a 5 minute hold. So as I tell you how much time we are, let that be your cue to make changes if you need to. Maybe you didn't support your legs and three minutes in, your legs are really sore and it's not going to work for you. Add the support. Rest in it, settle into it, breathe deeply. Again, avoid the mind's tendency to go to the past or to the future, but be here. The tools that we use, the mantra we talked about using today, I love you, I'm listening. Just the breath itself, inhale, exhale, counting the breath. A traditional Sanskrit mantra, maybe I chanted for you, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. That is a simple chant to Ganesh for the removal of obstacles. Maybe there's a favorite piece of scripture that you love that you can repeat over and over in your mind. You are 2.5 minutes in, so if you did choose to have your head turned to one side, take a gentle inhale, lift ever so slightly, and then exhale into your second side, keeping length, space in the neck, and soften. Once again, allowing yourself to settle in. Maybe you had a great experience on one side, then you take the second side, you think, oh, it's a little much. We're balancing, right? We're trying to come back to that equanimity. You're at 3 minutes now, so I'll give you the last 2 minutes in still and quiet, just to settle in, to check in with self. You have 1 more minute. Last several deep breaths. When you're ready, you're going to think about how you're going to get out of this pose safely and with control. So you might simply reach down and help those legs back together. From there, you might use a strong belly and sort of inhale and rise up. You might roll off your bolster or your prop to one side and then sit up. Again, anything that feels good. Those windshield wipers can feel really nice, right? The swaying of the knees, whether you're seated or on your back. You could take the feet out wide and drop the knees in. That's sort of the opposite posture of what we just did. Maybe you just need to straighten your legs out and shake them around a little bit, right? Anything that you feel, again, will sort of get rid of some of that tension or anxiety that may have come from being in a posture for 5 minutes, right? Breathe and move and stretch and twist and turn in any way that feels good. And let's do that for about 1 more minute, and then we'll move into our next posture. How we doing with breathing, by the way? Just checking in to make sure that we're paying attention to long inhales, complete exhales. Sometimes we settle into a pose, and while we were getting there, we forgot about thinking about breathing, because our alignment, our posture, and our support, and all those things are really important. So if you forget about breath in that process, just make sure when you settle in that you go back to the basis of all yoga practice starts with the breath. So making sure that we're always checking back in there. All right, next asana or posture is going to be dragonfly, which is a wide-legged forward fold. Depending on where you're at, if you are on a hard surface like I am here, turning sideways on your mat so your heels can be on your mat will definitely help. Or adding some padding if you got a blanket or something to put under the legs. All right, so unlike traditional practice, let's not winch our legs open as far as they'll go. Just choose a nice V position for the legs. The muscles in yin are soft, right? So I'm not going to flex and squeeze and hold on. I'm going to let my legs sort of fall wherever they will. Those of you that have really tight hamstrings, you may find this tension behind the knees is too much. Again, a rolled up blanket or pillow or towel or something to give you a little bit of relief there might be warranted. So the idea is here is we find this soft forward or this soft V position at the legs, and then we're going to take a forward fold. So I need to sort of give myself whatever I need for support here. And I'm just going to get creative with whatever I've got, right? Maybe this works. Folded up blanket, bolster, fold forward. I do like the idea of finding some length first in the spine before I fold, just to make sure I'm keeping enough space for the discs in the back of my body. But once I fold forward, then I'm going to soften. So I do become round and supported and just, relaxed over my props. And so if I don't use props and I just fold forward, then my body's got to hold me up. My muscles are going to have to get tense and hold me there. So that's why it's important to have the props in front of you, whatever layer of stuff you can come up with to give you that support. Relax the shoulders. For most of us, the natural tendency is to come with the hands in front. I will always suggest palms face up. This is a beautiful gesture of surrender, of sort of reaching up and outside of self for relaxation and acceptance. You can also maybe halfway through take the arms down along the sides, palm face up behind you. It will change how you get a stretch or relaxation in the shoulders. So 5-minute hold is a long time. Start where you feel like you're maybe 75 or 80% of where you think you can go. You can always start to peel away the layers of support that you have as you rest in. I often will use the terminology, you have to let the body accept what's happening. And so instead of just forcing yourself, now in traditional practice, we might hold 5 or 10 breaths. And so yeah, we push, we're hard, we're strong in it. And that's the yang side of yoga practice. But when we're sitting for minutes at a time, the belly of the muscle needs to get soft so that we can reach those tissues that we're looking for, the tendons, ligaments, the fascia. So that support's really important. So the body feels safe, and then when it's ready, the muscles will soften. And that's when you have the experience of being able to go a little further. So let the body accept what's happening to it right now. And as time goes by in the posture, you'd be amazed what will happen. Use your breath, your patience, and time to be able to find yourself surrendering into whatever this posture is going to look like for you today, whatever this practice is going to look like for you today. Our mantra, I love you and I am listening. What does that mean? I love you and I'm listening. Think about what it means to you when you would say that to a loved one. And again, most of us would eagerly and readily say that to a loved one, a very dear friend. I love you and I'm listening. So say that to yourself. Think about what that means for you today. We're just at 2 minutes. Again, you could have also had, I apologize, you could have had your head turned to one side, and if you do, I'll let you know we're almost at 2.5 minutes, so you can take a few more breaths and turn your head to second side when you're ready. Long inhales, complete exhales. Maybe as you take different postures, you'll find that that tension or that resistance from the lower body, as it starts to soften, you may find rising up. And what will oftentimes happen is we end up shoulders up, shoulders forward, chest caved, grimace in the face, right? So, I'm okay. And again, that's where your support comes into play. So all of this tension is relaxing. You're able to feel okay in that very challenging place. And some postures you're going to love and they feel really yummy and you could just stay there and it's special. And the other ones you're just really uncomfortable. And I recognize that is part of the yin practice, is being comfortable with the uncomfortable. We have just about 1 more minute left. Why can't we all take that off the mat, the learning to be comfortable with the uncomfortable? It'd be nice to take a little bit of that off the mat with us. All right, let's begin to take our last several deep breaths. And anytime we're in a forward fold, it's really important to protect the back. So you're going to squeeze the abdominal muscles, protecting the back, maybe even using your hands to press down. Inhale and begin to rise up. Exhaling, releasing at the top as you sit upright. And again, maybe just drawing those legs together for a minute, shaking them up and down. Toe tapping might feel nice here. If it's more about your back, again, those windshield wipers can feel really good. You can lay down on your back, hug your knees in, roll around a little bit. Maybe something more young, like downward facing dog can feel good, sort of pedaling that out a little bit. You might need to stand up and shake it off, right? That's okay too. But again, important to take that time in between postures to just see what's going on, check in and feel what it feels like. Sometimes you'll get some really good insight for your next yin practice about what you need or what you didn't need and what worked and what didn't work. So just paying attention to the cues that your body gives you, even in time of transition. As I said, our practice today sort of about um, postures that take us into maybe a back bend and then a forward fold, and sort of a back bend and forward fold. So a lot about the back today. But as always, our yin postures do include the legs. So um, we'll get a little bit of legs and hips, of course, in everything we do in yin. This next posture is not per se a traditional yin posture, but I like it because I think it is a part of the body that we all could use a little help in. So we're going to do a supported bridge pose. Because it's yin, it's not a bridge pose that you would think of in a traditional practice. So maybe you need to watch, maybe you already know where I'm going with this. I'm going to start off using a block as a prop. So once you get down onto your back, we're going to lift up and put whatever we have for a prop underneath the back. If it's a block, a bolster, rolled up blanket, it's going to go at the sacrum. And the sacrum is just past the lumbar spine, so past your tailbone. That's where we want to have the lift. And so this is my support, and there's a bridge, there's a little bit of an arch in the back. We could just stay right here with the feet flat on the floor. I'm liking the idea of straightening the legs so that we can get into these hip flexors. So I've got a nice gentle back bend happening here. I'm supported. And now with my hips elevated, that's how I get this stretch in the front of the legs. Just like we did in Dragonfly, the feet are going to fall away. That's the way they go. However they want to be. Soft is what we're looking for. If a block's not available, a rolled up blanket or towel works just fine. Again, the higher your prop, the more you're going to get of a back bend, more stretch, depth of stretch you're going to get here. And again, finally, if you have something even as high as a bolster. Now with a bolster, it's going to run from the lower back all the way through the glutes, right? So different variations, different options. Chin is tucked slightly into the chest. 5 minutes starting now. And if you choose one option and it doesn't feel good, or you start off with both of your legs long and it's not working for you, again, being careful not to fuss or fidget with it, but if you need to, maybe you just do one leg at a time so you've got some support on one side while you relax the other. Maybe you find that taking the legs straight just isn't going to work for you today, and you just leave the feet on the floor, taking the back bend with the feet on the floor and the knees up. So many options, variations. Maybe this is where you start, and eventually you straighten one leg. Maybe eventually you straighten both, or you just switch legs, right? So choices, lots of choices. No right or wrong way. Well, the wrong way would be unsafe and painful. So if you're experiencing pain, then we've got to make changes. Oh, I feel like I want to just lay right down here with you. You're 1 minute into 5. So I'll call out every minute for you. So if you feel like you want to make some changes, you can do that. Add the variations to the pose if it feels good. Again, you may spend most of the time right here just in a supported bridge, feet on the floor. Relax. Oh, let's talk arms, right? We got options with arms. They could just be resting along your side. You could turn the palms up. You could take the mountain T position. Maybe you want to take cactus arms. Maybe they feel good draped all the way over the head. Wherever they are, they can be soft. Again, just ways to get some extra space, right? Yeah. Breathe deep wherever you are. Settle in. Ah, you are just about 2.5 minutes, almost 2.5 minutes. Enjoying the expansion and contraction of the belly, the ribs, and the upper part of the chest. Enjoying that sensation of the muscles of particularly the face here, the arms and the chest sort of melting and peeling away from the bones. Yeah, I did decide to just join you, hang out in this posture. It was pretty yummy. Maybe you don't think it's yummy, maybe it's challenging for you. That's okay. I guess some of the postures are going to feel really good, and other ones are going to be really challenging and difficult. And maybe you'll find sometimes, some days that the posture felt really good, and other days not so much. You're at 3.5 minutes. So remember, that means you have 1.5 minutes left, so still plenty of time to add variation or to find that position that really is speaking to you today. It's really feeling like the position that works for you in this posture. You're just at 4 minutes. Last 30 seconds. Last several deep breaths. Remember to come out of this posture. Please plant your feet flat on the floor. Use your breath as you push down into the feet to lift the hips. Gently, slowly move your prop away. As you exhale, lower the hips and the back down to the floor. It might feel good right there to hug the knees into the chest and kind of roll around a little bit. Maybe it feels good to take a long stretch. You might be ready to just kind of sit right up, get into hands and knees, maybe take some cat cows, a down dog, anything that feels good, right? Breathing, moving, listening to the body. All right, we got time to do a posture with two sides. Um, let's do pigeon or swan pose. In Yin, we like pretty names for our postures. So instead of calling it pigeon, we call it swan pose, right? All right, so take your time to get yourself into an upward swan, and then we'll recline into um, the resting or sleeping swan posture. So to get into swan pose, and some of you already know, I'll often take you through down dog, but we're just going to get right there today. Right knee is going to come forward, right knee to the right edge of the mat. The heel is going to stay nice and close to your hip. From here, I'm going to shift back into my left leg. So my hips are going to go towards the back of my mat. Again, my heel's going to stay nice and close to my hip for the easiest version of this posture. The more flexible you are, the more you'll be able to bring that leg, that foot at a 90-degree angle. But for most of us, it's just going to stay right close to our hip. You're on the top of your left knee. That leg is long and straight behind you. We'll start off by pressing in and lifting up and getting nice and tall. Again, as I said, we're looking for length in the spine to keep that space for the discs. You're going to first decide if you need some support underneath the front of your left hip. Maybe you need support underneath the back of the right hip. Again, 5 minutes is a long time, so be kind to yourself. After we've lengthened, we're going to fold forward. For most of us, laying flat on the floor is not the best option. So we're going to exhale and maybe lay down over a bolster, blanket, towel, couple of pillows, whatever you need. What I do want you to be aware of is oftentimes when we go to sit down or lay down, we tend to shift off to one side or the other. So as you're coming to lay down, make sure if you can that your shoulders and your hips are in a nice straight line. So just as this bolster is rectangular, so is my back. And I want to keep myself right down the center as I fold. Again, I'm going to use the prop to do all the work for me to hold me up. So I can take all the weight off my arms and shoulders and just relax. I'm going to ask you to turn your head to one side, whether you're looking towards your foot or to your knee. It does not matter to me. But whenever you do that, we'll make sure that we take that same looking towards the foot or the knee on the other side. So we've got balance in the neck as we take that posture. So 5 minutes, long time. Again, support underneath you. Support underneath the hips if you need it. You can always start to pull those things away as you become more settled into the pose, right? Where did we start? We start with breathing. Inhale and exhale. We are asking ourselves to be in the present moment. So when our mind wanders to the past, and so even in our practice, you might get caught up in this idea of this posture didn't feel like this last time. Oh, this was so much easier last time. It doesn't matter. All that exists is right now. So just worry about what's happening right now. Anxious for what's coming next, whether it's the next posture. I can't wait to get to Shavasana, or I still got to cook dinner. I got to go grocery shopping. I got to pick up the kids. I got to whatever any of that stuff is that is yet to be done. It'll be there when you get done with your practice. So be in this moment. Say to yourself, I love you. I am listening. We avoid attachments to the past and anxiety for the future. It's happening right now. Breathing deeply, settling in, embracing the idea of being comfortable with the uncomfortable. You're just about 2.5 minutes. You're halfway through on this side. As in all of the postures, once we're sort of settling in and relaxing into the poses, you may find that you can start to remove some of the support that you have. Maybe you go from a tall, thick bolster pillow, lift up a little bit and switch that out for something a little less supportive, right? Maybe you can. Maybe you realize you can't. Maybe you realize you've gone too far and you need to add some more stuff. That's okay too. Soften the expression if you can on the eyes, the lower jaw. Relax the tongue. Shoulders soft, even the hands. Again, watch sometimes this tendency to hang on, to grab a hold of your prop, or to make fists with the hands. Again, if you need to, remind yourself, let go, turning the palms up, surrendering. You're at 3.5 minutes, a minute and a half to go. There's no place else for me to be. There's nothing else for me to do. You have 1 more minute. Last 30 seconds. Last several deep breaths. Being mindful and kind to yourself. 2 strong hands underneath shoulders. Press in, rise up. To move into downward facing dog, a great way to stretch yourself out. Curl left toes under. Press into straighten the leg. Press into your hands to further lift the hips. Bring that right leg back. I've got some space to kind of move around a little bit. Maybe shift side to side. Maybe that's too much. Maybe you're on your hands and knees, kind of working through some cat cows or wiggling through the hips, sideways. Anything that feels good. When you're ready, we're going to move ourselves right into second side. So we've got plenty of time for a nice shavasana today. Second side. Oftentimes in yin, when we take postures that have left and right sides, they feel very different. That's okay. We just, again, are accepting of whatever it is today, and we support the body and whatever it needs today, because that's all that really exists, right? All right. So we're going to start off with the left knee up front. Again, I'm taking the left knee to the edge of the mat, right? The left knee to the edge, and again, sort of at that 45-degree angle or so. I'm going to shift and sit back into, so my rear end of my leg coming towards the back of my mat. What we're looking for here is this external rotation in the hip bone as we sit down into the piriformis muscle, the back of this left hip. Pressing, lift up, get tall. And again, watch that tendency to shift one side or the other. Oftentimes we'll, as we fold down, we'll sit off to that hip. So keep head and chest straight as you fold forward. When you're ready, right, you may need to stay upright for a minute, maybe just some several breaths. That idea of letting the body accept what's happening as you sort of work your way into that posture. Laying down so that the prop underneath you supports you. So I'm not holding my weight on my arms, right? Because if I'm just resting on my elbows, then I've got muscles in my chest and my back sort of holding me there. And that's where the props come in handy. Then everything gets to let go. Once you're settled where you think you can be for the next 5 minutes, breathe, relax, and let go. Being present. Allowing yourself the privilege of non-attachment to the past. Feeling safe and secure in the present, resisting the anxiety over the future. Breath, full and complete. The belly, the ribs, and the chest expand and contract. Even though you're laying over something, right? Don't let this pressure on the front of the body prevent you from breathing. Open up the back, right? Let that be a way to really send oxygen and breath into the parts of the lungs that you don't normally breathe into. Right? The body breathes itself all day. The breath is shallow. The breath does its job. It moves the nutrients through the body. bringing in nutrients that we need and releasing the toxins through our breath. But this is purposeful breath. This is really filling up, cleansing by completely emptying out. And again, for most of us, this is the only time during the day that we'll have a good practice of pranayama or breath control. So take advantage of it as often and as long as you can in your yoga practice. You're at 2.5 minutes. Shoulders soft, eyes are soft, lower jaw, right? Oftentimes you'll find yourself clenching your teeth. I know I do that oftentimes when I get at the edge of postures where it's difficult. And again, sometimes it's squeezing your eyelids tight. There's wrinkles in your forehead because you're uncomfortable. And we want to just tell the body it's okay. Relax. Sit right here with it. Sit with me. It's all good. You're at 3 minutes into 5. Three and a half minutes, a minute and a half left. And again, as we take a yin practice and I let you know where we are in time, that's your opportunity to decide whether or not a minute and a half more is doable. Maybe I can go further. Wow, I'm feeling really good. Let me get in here a little bit more. So yeah, just letting you know how much time you have left so that you can decide where you are in your pose and where you might take yourself. 1 more minute. I always find it funny. Sometimes you feel like you've been in a posture forever. Sometimes, and other times you feel like I just got here. Now we're done. And for me, it's not always the same poses. It's not like, oh, I hate this one and it always takes forever. Sometimes it's shocking to me that the pose seems like forever, and other times it seems like it went by in a very short period of time. As I say that, you are coming to the end of this particular posture. And as you begin to take your last several deep breaths, again, be really mindful of protecting your back and using your breath to help yourself transition out of this pose. So again, in a posture like this, it helps to get those hands back underneath your shoulders to really spread your hands so you can push into the earth, inhaling and lifting the upper body. Again, maybe moving into downward facing dog and kind of moving that around a little bit. Maybe you want to take forward rest. Maybe you want to get on your back. Anything you need to do for the next, I don't know, we'll be pretty quick here, maybe a minute or so, because it's time for your final resting posture. Shavasana, that's everybody's favorite, right? So when you feel like you've done all the things that you need to do so that your final rest can be as comfortable and rewarding as it should be, then, create your space. Maybe you want something for a pillow. Maybe you want, in yin, the bolster underneath the legs is always a really nice thing. 2 things it does is it softens the hip flexors and it releases the low back. The legs sort of get to dangle and the feet get soft. Again, you might have something for a pillow or maybe more like a neck roll. That feels good. Maybe I need this blanket to cover up with. All is good. So relaxing, your last posture, your Shavasana, is about complete relaxation and surrender. So we're going to release the breath control. We're going to go back to the organic, natural breath of the body. The feet are going to fall away because the hips and the low back are soft. My arms are just going to rest along my sides. My shoulders can be soft. Part of my chest is nice and open. And again, whether you're laying on a pillow or on the floor, just let the neck and the throat soften and relax. Maybe you need to take a second to tuck those shoulder blades under your back. Maybe you need to nod your head side to side. Find your neutral, find your rest. Here in this position where you're completely relaxed and there's no effort to be here, begin to notice how your body is breathing itself. Maybe you're noticing the specific sensation on the skin where the clothing brushes against you as your belly or chest rise and fall. Maybe as you're noticing your breath, your point of focus is where the air is entering and leaving the nostrils. Maybe you can feel the air brush across the skin of the upper lip as it enters the nostrils. Maybe you're aware of the temperature of the breath entering and leaving the nostrils. Just watching the body as it breathes itself. As the body breathes itself, and we sit still and quiet here as an observer, you may be able to then feel the entire length of the body, the tips of the toes, tips of the fingers to the crown of the head, absolutely relaxed. Take these next several minutes in stillness, quiet, rest, much deserved rest. And I'll let you know when it's time to come back. My friends, begin to add some depth back into your breathing. Begin to start to subtly move the body, fingers and toes maybe, wrists and the ankles. Maybe starting to move the legs, maybe turning the head side to side. Might feel nice to take a really long stretch, twisting, turning. And then when you feel ready, maybe roll to your left side and pause for a moment in fetal position. Reminding yourself one last time, I love you and I am listening. When you're ready, press into the arm and press into the earth with that right hand. Let yourself rise as you inhale. Coming back to a comfortable seated position for just a moment. If you did have to open your eyes, go ahead and close your eyes. Lift your heart. Relax the shoulders. Take your hands, if you would, into prayer position. Let the thumbs rest against the heart center. Maybe as you exhale, there's a gentle lowering of the chin and a smile. Take those thumbs and bring them to your forehead. And I'll ask that each one of us invite in thoughts that are full of inspiration, hope, big dreams, and guided by our higher power. Take those thumbs to the lips, and I'll invite in for each one of us bold and brave speech, courageous yet compassionate and kind. Thumbs returning to the heart center, and I'll invite in for each one of us an eager desire to love others and a willingness and desire to be loved. Thank you, my friends, so much for allowing me to be part of your day. Go enjoy the rest of this day, and until I get to see you again next time, I do wish you well. Namaste.